everyone, welcome back to the workshop. Artisan Pirate here, and in today's fun video we're going to be talking about different styles of cuts over on the scroll saw. This is a question I get a lot of comments about, and also on my social media feeds as well as through emails, about how I tackle a scroll saw cut in any different way given the circumstances of the pattern I am working on. You guys know that I began scroll saw woodworking at the age of 14 under my grandfather's guidance. At the time of this video's recording, I am now in my mid-30s, so please keep that in mind. But during that span of years, my style of scroll sawing has evolved. I in no way, shape, or form scroll saw the way I did back when I was 14 as opposed to now in my mid-30s. That skill has evolved as I've done more and more projects with versatility and creativeness in it. So please keep that in mind. I am left-handed. I don't know if that plays a part in scroll saw woodworking, but I do think it's a major factor to be ambidextrous over on the scroll saw, to where you can feed in on the left side as well as the right side of the blade, especially if you're working on a bigger project with limited throat capacity. You guys know that my scroll saw right now, the Rikon scroll saw, is a 22-inch scroll saw. We started this channel over on a 16-inch scroll saw, so also please keep that in mind. I've got a project prepped here by Steve Good, and it's going to be a future full scroll saw project video, but it's something I want to show you guys on camera. It is a classic hot rod there, and it's prepped on some 3/4 inch material, and again it will be a future full video, but it does have a lot of those tight V-turns in it that I talk about. And I tell you guys when I show the finished design as well as narrating in the time-lapse portion how I go about achieving those tight V-turns. What I do is go in one side of the V, and while the scroll saw blade is still running, I will back it out, then cut into the waste wood, the negative space, and go along the other side of the V. That way I can taper it down to as fine a point as the pattern calls for, you know, just tapering it down slowly, and then once that pops out, I can turn the scroll saw around the piece I'm working on and continue along the cut line. I've got two pieces of material prepped here to do some live scroll sawing on camera today. You guys asked me to do that a lot. I have a piece of the basic 1/4 inch material we use, and then a piece of 3/4 inch material here. This is pine here, and the best way I know how to illustrate what I'm going to be doing over on the scroll saw is to basically draw it out. I've picked up a dry erase board and some colored markers here, and what I'm going to basically be doing is, let's just say we're cutting out a square. I will draw it out in black to where it really shows up on the dry erase board, and then I'll go back with a red colored marker, which is going to represent the scroll saw blade itself, so please keep that in mind. And then I'll go around the perimeter to show you guys how I will tackle that cut, and then we will do it in real time over on the scroll saw. And since everything is pretty much set up, let's move the camera over to the scroll saw and get started. Alright my friends, we are over here at the scroll saw. Hopefully you guys can see everything good. We have the 1/4 inch piece of material in the scroll saw right now, and I've got it threaded through the pilot hole I drilled. And we're going to begin by cutting out a basic square from this 1/4 inch material. Now I know a lot of people, and hopefully this comes up on camera, when they do a square, and especially for the inside cut, basically what they'll do is curve around like that, and then come over here and then curve around, and once they get kind of that rounded square cut out, they will come back and then just make the angles nice and crisp. And over on the scroll saw, I do not do that. I will do one continuous cut to cut this out, but once I get to a corner here, what I will do, if I'm following along, I will pull back ever so slightly and then make my turn. You can do a great right angle turn, especially with 1/4 inch and maybe up to 1/2 inch material in this manner, but I'm going to show you that now as we cut out a square. And again, all this is going to be in real time. There you see, I was pulling back ever so slightly, and that square comes out nice and crisp. It's not a perfect square because I kind of freehand drew it and kind of freehand followed it, so to speak. But now we will do the same with the 3/4 inch material, and we'll go and retension the blade there. And with this one, we will do the outside perimeter cut, even though I drilled a pilot hole in it, we'll do the outside cut. And again, with an outside cut, I'll get my red marker here. We're going to be following along, and I'll be doing the same process here. Now, I know some people, when they just begin scroll saw woodworking, what they will do is follow the cut line just like that, but then when they get to the corner, they'll come out here into waste wood if space is available and kind of do a roundabout like on the highway, and then they'll come back here and then they will do another roundabout and then follow it like that to get that square cut out, and then the square will of course fall out of your material and it'll be perfectly square, and that's a great way to do it. But I will, again, in the same manner here, I will go and ever so slightly pull back on the scroll saw and make my turn. Again, this is a little bit thicker material, being 3/4 inches, but I will cut it out in real time. And again, I freehand drew this square, so it is what it is. You can see I kind of just hesitate and pull back ever so slightly as I go into that turn. But there we go, and it falls out, and you can see how nice and crisp each one of those corners are. And again, that's just how I tackle everything. And now what we're going to do is we're just going to rethread the blade through here, drop the arm, and do this circle, and how everything goes with a circle. And I'm not cutting out the circle for like a wheel or a floater piece to glue in. What I'm going to show you guys is, again, I am left-handed. Basically, when people do an internal cut, they drill, I'll do this with black, they'll drill their pilot hole somewhere over here. And basically, when they thread the scroll saw blade in, they will naturally come around the circle and follow it as close as they can to cut that out. But the thing is, and what I'm trying to bring across here on the camera, is when you get back to that pilot hole and you connect those two lines there, your piece is of course going to fall out if your scroll saw is perfectly dialed in. But what happens is there is going to be a little nub here on the inside side of the piece, and that's what I'm going to try to show you here. What you will see me do over on the scroll saw in my videos is come back and I will do this with the piece, and I know it's hard to see in the time-lapse manner, but that is what I'll do. And that's me cleaning up that little nub there and eliminating it, and it makes the interior cuts look so much nicer. But we will do that now. As always, I'm taking my time and letting the blade do the work. And as you can see right there where we started and stopped, there's kind of like a little very shallow V dip there, and you can also see it right here in the material we're cutting out. So what I will do is just clean up that interior cut and bring it out, and now everything on the inside is nice and smooth. That was something I picked up really quickly over on the scroll saw when I began scrolling. We will now do a star here, and I know I am not going to be able to draw a perfect star over on the dry erase board here, but I'm going to give it my best go. Draw a basic 5-pointed star here. Okay. Now this is a lot of those hairpin turns, I like to call it, you know, like that. And if you're going to go along the outside of the star, we're going to be cutting out the interior portion here, like we were cutting out something for 4th of July, say. But basically, if you want to go this route, in thin material, you can potentially make that sharp point turn there on the scroll saw, as long as you're taking your time and letting the blade do the work. But what you can do, just like I said earlier with the squares, you can come here and go into waste wood and do a U-turn and then come back to get as fine a point you want. But what we're going to be doing is the interior portion, and as I said before, you traditionally just drill a pilot hole, and that's going to represent that. You cannot possibly go in here and just follow that. Now, if it was a bigger star, so to speak, like if the star was as big as this dry erase board that we were cutting out, you could potentially go in here and follow it all the way through and cut out the star. But with the smallness of this one here over on the scroll saw on this 1/4" material, what we will do is at our pilot hole come in, essentially cut out a pizza slice, come back to the pilot hole, that piece will fall out. We will come and do another pizza slice, come back to the pilot hole, and go all the way around in that manner, but the stars will come out very nice, precisely, and very crisp, and it's how I found the best way to do stars. I know I done a military piece that had maybe 20 stars in it, and that was very tedious to cut out, but I took my time over on it and done the pizza slice cuts that we're about to do now. So let me do that now and cut out this star. Now we will back out. You see it popped out there. Do the next one. And the next one. And there you see how nice and crisp that star comes out. It takes a little bit longer to cut the star out as opposed to if I just drilled a pilot hole and followed those points. But again, if you'd done it in that manner, it would be a ever so slight rounded appearance here at the point. And also doing this way, I can also taper that point down as fine as I want to, and that will lead into our final demonstration here. And I hope you guys like watching me do this in real time. I know it's something I don't do often over here on the channel, but we've got a basic V here, and this is something I drew out just like the basic letter V. And as I said, this project here by Steve Good is going to have a ton of those type V turns in it. So I want to illustrate it in the best way I can in a video like this. So again, if you've got a V point, or if you've got a, one that's a little bit wider, what I do is, again, let's just say the pilot hole's over here somewhere with our V cuts, and I'm following the project, cutting out the pattern, and then I get down here. What I will do is go in all the way to the point on one side and back the scroll saw out while it is still running, the blade that is, and I will keep a good grip on my scroll saw work while I'm backing it back out to make sure there's no catches. And what I'll do is come over here into what will ultimately be negative space and come over here and go down and then I can taper that down to as fine a V-point as the pattern calls for, and then all of this here will fall out, and then with the scroll saw blade here I'll be able to turn the project and continue on and continue that interior cut. Again, it takes a little bit of time to do a cut like that, especially if you're in thicker material. I know with the 1/4 inch material here, a scroll saw blade will simply fly through 1/4 inch material, but you guys know I like to do a ton of stack cutting. Now, if this was an outside cut and everything out here would be waste wood, the best thing to do would be to come down and then of course do a U-turn and then follow that cut along, and that way that taper would be as fine as you needed it to be. But I'm going to cut out a V out of the 3/4 inch material and then one out of the 1/4 inch material, and then we can get ready to wrap up the video. But I'm going to go in one side here, and then you will see me back it out again, keeping a firm grip on the piece, and then we will go in the other side of the V, getting that fine V point that we need. Now I've backed it back up to the pilot hole, and I've cut out down to that portion, and again this would ultimately be waste wood here, so I'm going to cut into it and go down the other side. There we go, and you can see how nice and crisp that V cut is there. And I do this all the time when doing cuts like this. I know when I began scroll sawing when I was 14, I just of course wanted to drill a pilot hole over here and come in and just follow the cut entirely, and then I would just spend a lot of time sanding and shaping everything after the fact. But again, the more you scroll saw, the more you learn about a scroll saw, if that makes any sense. And again, I've been doing this for several years now, and it's just little tips and tidbits you pick up along the way, and I hope in some way, shape, or form I'm passing them along to you guys, the viewer and the follower and subscriber. Again, a 1/4 inch piece of material will simply fly through a scroll saw blade, especially if you keep a nice and sharp scroll saw blade in your scroll saw. But now we will go release the other side of it, again cutting into that waste wood. There we go, and as you can see, once again that cut is nice and crisp. Nice V cut, nice star, nice square. The circle came out nice. The square shape we actually cut out here came out nice and crisp, as well as all of the V cuts. But just a demonstration in real time of different styles of scroll sawing. Let's move the camera one more time and we'll wrap up the video. And that's going to about wrap up today's video, my friends. I hope you guys have found it informative. Scroll sawing in real time is one of the most common comments I get over on my channel and on my social media feeds and in my emails and everything. And I hope in some way this video justified that in today's video, where I showed you how to make some different style cuts over on the scroll saw. But as always, I'm so happy to teach over on the scroll saw. If you guys want to know anything, feel free to leave a comment down below or ask me any questions and send them to me in an email or a private message on social media. I'm trying my best to keep the scroll saw a relative tool going forward in the digital age that we live in. I know now laser engravers are more affordable than ever before for the weekend or hobby woodworker and crafter, and I want to keep the scroll saw a relevant tool. As long as I've been scroll sawing, I still find it very therapeutic to use, and I do some of my best thinking over at the scroll saw. But I also know that some people will go get a scroll saw and think, I'm going to start knocking out beautiful and creative projects right now as soon as we get it out of the box, and that can be the case with some people if they are more familiar with other woodworking tools, but it is a tool you need to take your time with and learn all the different aspects of it and what it is possible to do, and you can unlock a scroll saw's full potential with a little bit of time, practice, and effort. This was a video that I had bouncing around in my head for a few weeks, and I was trying to think how to best film it and bring it to the platform in the best way possible. And when we were out getting groceries, I seen the little dry erase board in the back to school section. I just happened to walk by it going to the groceries, and I was like, hey, that will be how I bring this to the platform. What I will do is draw out the cut and then go back and show you guys how I achieved that cut, and that is what led to today's full video. But again, I hope you guys have found it informative. Again, I'm always happy to answer questions through social media, emails, or comments below. If there's any other related video like this for the scroll saw that you guys would like to see me bring to this platform to show you guys stuff, please also let me know down in the comments below. Again, I'm trying to keep the scroll saw a relevant tool going forward, and it's still a fun tool to use. And again, I am happy to teach on it. If this happens to be your first time over here on the channel, hopefully you'll click that subscribe button and also follow me across all my social medias under the Artisan Pirate name. As always, links to contact me as well as all my social medias will always be linked down in the description box below these videos. That's about all for this one, and remember guys, if I can make it or do it, so can you. I'm the Artisan Pirate. Take care, and I'll see you guys real soon.